Hello, crafty friends, and thank you for joining me today. Today, we're going to create this beautiful open peony from Altenew. I do start with my watercolor cardstock, and I do lay each of the pieces out and die cut it in order. These are easily numbered, so it's easy for you to follow. Once these are die cut, I do lay them out in order for me. This is mainly so that I color them in the correct gradient for what I feel is going to be pleasing to my eyes. From there, I do take these wonderful zig water brush markers. I start with the darkest, adding plenty of color here. From there, I do go to the medium and then a little bit of a lighter shade as well. I am trying to create some dimension and depth with my color because in real life, flowers are not just one color. So I do find a little bit here and there does the trick. Once I have the colors down, I do add water from my spritzer. I love how those colors pop. It's so vivid. With the paintbrush, I do move the water to the edges just so I'm not creating a lot of white space. And a paintbrush is perfect to do this. Just spread it all around. As I let these air dry, I'm going to move on to my leaves. With the leaves, I do start with my lightest green that I'm looking to use, and I use that quite a bit throughout each of the leaves. From there, I'm going to move to my medium green, followed by my darker green. Now for the big reveal on these beautiful leaves. Look how gorgeous those colors work so well together, especially on that lower right leaf. I love it. Once again, I'm going to allow these to air dry. I feel like when I air dry any type of water medium, it works to create the most vivid colors versus if I dry it with my heat gun. I'm now starting with the center of my flower. It takes me several times to get this just the way I envisioned with the deeper colors. I think part of this is because I was getting impatient and I did use the heat gun. So it was drying back my colors and they weren't coming out quite as vivid as I was looking for. For my background, I do use this Dotted Swirls Debossing cover die. And what I'm looking for here is just a little bit of texture in my background. I do it on black cardstock, but it is very challenging for you, the viewer, to see this on camera. but in real life, it creates this beautiful, almost like a pinprick picture. You will see it very, very slightly here, but in real life, you can really see it, and it just adds that little subtle oomph to my card, which I love. Here I am, trying to do it again. I think this time I learned my lesson, and it finally came out the way I was looking for. You do notice that I did clean up the colors that were pulling, and I did use a paper, and you'll see that in the top left-hand corner, which I will use for another card later on. Now I'm gluing the pieces together. So there's these little keyholes, and you just line the keyholes up. See, I'm putting the glue right around the keyhole. Now you line it up with number 2. How easy is that? I'm so glad Altenew came up with this. I do hold it with my reverse tweezers, which makes my life so much easier than holding it with my fingers. In just a few minutes, that glue has set. Now I go to layer 3. Again, lining it up, easy peasy. Here, you start to see the difference in the colors of my peony and how important it is to create different and use different colors as you are using your markers or paints or whatever your medium might be. With this little piece here, I almost didn't see it, but there's this tiny little notch to the left of the yellow center of my flower. And I see it now. I'm like, oh, this is where that piece goes. So I do line those up, glue it together, and it fits perfectly. Now, the final part of the flower. And this is what will cover up that little keyhole that we used earlier to line everything up. Now, to the right, you will see all the little fiddly bits. You may be tempted not to use these because they are kind of small. And you're probably thinking, oh, where do I put these? But trust me, go the extra mile. It's so well worth it. You'll see here in just a second when I add them that it creates so much dimension on my flower, almost like the little folds of the flower. It takes me a moment to figure out where they go, but once I figure it out, I am so glad I did that extra step. It's like the flowers curling up, the little petals are curling up. So when you look at this in real life, you're like, oh, wow, that's awesome. Now, time for my sentiment. I love this versatile greeting from Altenew. It has such an array of sentiments that are perfect. I do cut that pink hello out of my pink cardstock that you're going to see here in just a moment, and that is going to be the base for my card. I try to avoid as much waste as possible in my craft room. I feel like most of us work very hard for our money and we want to get the maximum that we can. So this is just an easy way to save just a little bit. And trust me, nobody's going to know. Now I'm going to glue my leaves onto the back of my peony. There are 3 leaves. Odd numbers are more pleasing to the eye, so 3 leaves go perfect with this, and it does create that little bit of grounding that the peony definitely needs. See that pink? That's where I took that hello from. That pink is already onto my base, which is 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. The black cardstock that you see there that I had previously embossed with that pen dot swirls, I did cut 1/8 off each side. Reason being is I just wanted a little bit of the pink to show. I didn't want that pink taking away from my flower, but I did want a little something there. So after I glue that together, I'm now going to figure out my placement and where I want everything to be and how is it pleasing to me. Always make sure your cardstock is going in the right direction. I would hate for you to put all this wonderful work into creating this beautiful card only to have it upside down. So just take a step, make sure it's in the right direction. I do want my peony to literally stand off the page. So I have these black foam dots and I do add those to the back of my peony. I will add some barely art glue to the back of the black foam dots, which will create some wiggle room there and allow me to move it until I have found the perfect spot that I think is gonna look great for me. I fluff up my little petals as well as my leaves because I do want this to be dimensional on my card. I feel like taking that little extra step definitely adds the wow factor, which I love adding to my cards. Now, time for the embellishments. I use these beautiful dewdrops. They look like little raindrops, and I always envision this as like the morning dew on your flowers. So I do put 3, again, odd numbers are more pleasing to the eye, and it just kind of creates, again, just this another little dimension and element to my card. I get asked about my jewel picker there, and what is that on the tip? To be honest with you, I got tired of buying every jewel picker out there, only for it to go bad in just a few months. So what I did was I went to the Dollar Tree and I added the poster tack and put that on the end. Here I am several years later, still with the same piece of poster tack, and it still works beautifully. I love it. So I would encourage you, if you get as frustrated as I do with those jewel pickers, try this method and see if it works for you. Now, look at that. How gorgeous is that card? Like it literally pops off of the cardstock. Talk about dimension, texture. This has it all. I am so glad that you joined me today. I hope you like what you saw. Be sure to follow, like, and subscribe. If you have any other ideas or suggestions, I would love to hear them in the comments below. Thank you so much.